The A-Team Challenge, a major project of the Foundation for Lee County Public Schools, is produced in partnership with the School District of Lee County, Waterman Broadcasting, and NBC2. This program features high school students in both public and private schools from 6 Southwest Florida counties as they compete in this exciting academic challenge. Lee County High School student interns help produce the show under the direction of the Lee County Schools Communication and Production Department. The A-Team Challenge is brought to you by the Suncoast Credit Union Foundation and a contributing sponsorship by Hodges University.
Hello everybody, welcome to Game 8 of the A-Team Challenge for 2016. I'm Robert Van Winkle, and I'm very happy to be invited back to be the host this year for this academic year. And once again, the partnership is ongoing for 27 years here in Southwest Florida between NBC2, the Foundation for Lee County Public Schools, and the Lee County School District. You can watch our games on Comcast up on channel 99, and new this year, we're going to be putting our games on YouTube. The school district has their own YouTube channel. It's at youtube.com/Lee Schools TV, so check that out. The A-Team is a single elimination competition, and every year we start off with over 30 public and private high schools in 6 Southwest Florida counties. The students will be answering questions today in the subjects of math, science, arts and humanities, language arts, social studies, and some general knowledge questions. For those of you folks watching our first game, here's a little summary of the rules. We have 3 rounds worth 5, 10, and 20 points each. The final exam round is the place where the students will be wagering as much or as little of their score as they wish to determine who will be going on to the next round of the A-Team Challenge. Students, remember, in the first 3 rounds, there's no penalty for a wrong answer. You can buzz in early and give it a shot. However, if you miss it, the other team gets to hear the question in its entirety and possibly steal away the point. So welcome to 2 fine schools here this afternoon. I think it's going to be a good match. On this side, we have the students from Gulf Coast High School, and that's on my right side, and on my left side, these are the students from Palmetto Ridge. So we have Gulf Coast versus Palmetto Ridge. Students, if you're ready to go, let's get the A-Team Challenge started. We'll begin with our 5-point round. Hands on your buzzers. Here we go. Give the term for the type of nut that must be removed whenever you change a flat tire. Jack, you're in Palmetto.
Lug nut?
Yeah, it's a lug nut. You got it. 5 points. Palmetto Ridge starts us off. Past winners of this reality series include cerebral palsy sufferer Josh Blue, recently hosted by Anthony Jeselnik. Jack, Palmetto?
Last Comic Standing?
Yeah, it's a good show. Identify the comic series. The series on TV, hosted also by Roseanne Barr. Last Comic Standing, 5 points, Palmetto Ridge. A statue dedicated to the dog named Balto tells how he and his fellow animals relayed antitoxin 600 miles through the Arctic blizzards in the winter of 1925. In what state would you find Mark, Gulf Coast?
Alaska.
That's the state where you'd find Balto's statue. Is the annual dog race takes place up there. 5 points, Gulf Coast. What Lois Lowry novel is the first of 3? Mark, Gulf Coast.
The Giver.
Nope, sorry. I finished the question from Palmetto Ridge. It's the first of 3 sequels to The Giver. Jack, Palmetto.
Gathering Blue?
Yeah, Gathering Blue. Good job. 5 points, Palmetto Ridge. Next for 5. When talking about circles, it is replaced by the term circumference. Identify this concept whose formula, Mark, Gulf Coast?
Perimeter.
Yeah, perimeter. I was going to give you some examples of how to find the perimeter of different objects, but you got it up front, so that's 5 points, Gulf Coast. Homer's Odyssey never mentions this color. Speaking of the sea, instead as wine dark. Mark, Gulf Coast.
Blue.
Yeah, that's the primary color whose word was developed long after the words for red and yellow were spoken. Blue, 5 points, Gulf Coast. In 1816, Nepal lost a 2-year war with this country and had to consent to the boundaries it has today. Christian, Palmetto Ridge.
China.
Sorry, Christian, incorrect. Gulf Coast. Name this European country whose once large empire included India. Chad, Gulf Coast.
Great Britain.
Great Britain or England, 5 points, Gulf Coast. Often found as fossils because their exoskeletons are hard and durable, this group of marine animals is distinguished by its 2 pairs of antennae that may cause a painful pinch. Name this specific group of arthropods whose edible species include the lobster, the shrimp. Nick, Palmetto.
Crustacean.
Crustaceans, and the crab was my other example. That's 5 points for Palmetto Ridge. The Cumberland River forms a U shape in the north-central area of this state. Mark, Gulf Coast.
Tennessee.
Tennessee is where the Cumberland River is located. 5 points, Gulf Coast. Give the general term for any animal or object that represents a sports team. Chad, Gulf Coast.
Mascot.
The mascot is correct. 5 points, Gulf Coast. A doctor might be one when he talks about surgery. A forensic scientist in a murder case could be one. Chad, Gulf Coast.
Expert witness.
Yeah, those are the guys. Name this type of witness in a legal trial. Expert witness, 5 points, Gulf Coast. Give the word that means both a piece of construction equipment for lifting heavy objects and to lift your neck so high. Mark, Gulf Coast.
Crane.
A crane. You can see in the air when you crane your neck. Very good, 5 points, Gulf Coast. Since it began, it has often been criticized by the targets of its political cartoons, especially those cartoons mocking the Prophet Muhammad. Name this satiric Christian, Palmetto.
Islam.
No, sorry, Christian, maybe a little too soon. Gulf Coast. Name this satirical French magazine that had 12 of its staff killed by Islamic terrorists last year. Charlie Hebdo. Charlie Hebdo. All right, next question for 5. In a chemistry lab, what tube-like object is often made of glass and has lines along its vertical length? Anthony, Gulf Coast.
Graduated cylinder.
Yeah, to allow the accurate measure of volume, graduated cylinder, Gulf Coast. Okay, and that signals the end of our first 5-point round. It's Gulf Coast at 45, Palmetto Ridge at 20. You guys, we've got a lot more playing of the game to go. The scores are going to change a bit. Let's take a short break, but before we do that, I want to introduce you to the players from Gulf Coast High School. In position number 1, this is Chad. Chad Boole is a senior this year. He is off to the University of Florida and wants to study sports management. That's why he got mascot so quick right there. On the second position here, we've got Bailey. This is Bailey of Villarreal. Bailey is a senior this year, and he wants to head to DePaul University. In fact, he's already been accepted there. Congratulations at DePaul. He's going to be studying biochemistry and molecular biology. Third spot in the back row is Anthony. This is Anthony Amadeo, no stranger to the A-team. That smile's been here before. Anthony's a junior, and he wants to go to FGCU. And rounding out the team is Mark. Mark, also a good player, has many years here on the A-team. Mark's a senior, so this will be his last year. Mark Torres is accepted at Yale, and he's going to go study cognitive science. Liz Lenhart is the coach at Gulf Coast High School. Liz, great job with your students this year. When we come back, we'll introduce you to the fine players coming up at Palmetto Ridge. Give yourselves a round of applause. That's a great way to start the game. We'll be back.
Two pennies by themselves don't add up to much. But when you're a Suncoast member, every time you swipe your Suncoast credit or debit card, Suncoast donates 2 cents to help children's programs where you live. That means Suncoast members help make their community a better place every day just by buying things with their cards. And when we add all those pennies from all those Suncoast card swipes together, we can give millions of dollars to our children's future. Visit SuncoastCreditUnion.com and learn how much Suncoast could save you.
Hi, my name is Marshall Bauer, and I'm proud to say I'm the Executive Director of the Foundation for Lee County Public Schools. The Foundation has as its mission engaging the business community and the community at large with our students and teachers in the public school system. Through our many initiatives and programs, we enhance and enrich what is already going on in our public school system. The goal in mind is the same goal that the school district has, to make Lee County Public Schools a world-class school system. It is important that the community understand that our students will be competing in a global market, and in order for them to succeed, they need the backing of the entire community. So please reach out to a student, to a teacher, and help the foundation succeed in its mission. Thank you.
Welcome back to round 2 of the A-Team Challenge. We're in game number 8, and one of these teams will be moving on to the second round of the playoffs this year. And we're going to introduce you now to the student players at Palmetto Ridge High School. Palmetto Ridge position number 1 is Jack West, sophomore on the team. Jack is planning to go to Portland State University and study communications and journalism. Welcome to you, Jack. In the next spot is Lars. Lars Nilsson is a junior this year. Lars would like to go to FGCU, and he wants to study science and mathematics engineering. Lars, good luck to you in the future. Back row, we've got Christian. Christian Custodio is a sophomore. Christian is planning to head to Florida Polytechnic. He wants to study computer science and electrical engineering. Thanks for the piece of gum earlier. I had to spit it out. They made me do that. And in the final spot is Nick. Nick Garcia. He's a sophomore as well. Wants to go to the University of Florida and study computer engineering. Nick, Christian, Lars, and Jack under the coaching of Allison Chapman at Palmetto Ridge High School. All right, guys, we've got some good questions now for the 10-point round. Hands on your buzzers. Here we go. Picasso's famous painting, Guernica, was inspired by what country's bombing? And Mark is in.
Germany.
Yeah, Germany bombed them in 1937. You got 10 points, Gulf Coast. Math questions on the screen. Take a look. You can begin working. I'll read it for the folks at home. What is f of 4? If f of x is x cubed minus 3x squared plus 10x minus 7. All right, Mark's in quick.
51.
Nope, sorry, Mark, that's not correct. Palmetto, you've got just a few more seconds. Keep working. Christian.
37.
No, not 37 either. It's 49. 49. 64 minus 48 plus 40 minus 7. All right, next question for 10. A group of 4 official portrait painters of this country's supreme leader, Kim Jong-un. Chad, Gulf Coast.
North Korea.
Yeah, you say that name and you know right what we're talking about. Name the secretive Asian nation, capital city of Pyongyang, and 10 points, Gulf Coast. Next for 10. He served as Florida's Commerce Secretary before losing his first race for governor of Florida. Name this politician who later spent 2 terms as Florida governor. He's both the son and the brother of a former Mark, Gulf Coast.
Jeb Bush.
Jeb Bush, that's the one. He's running for president. And you got 10 points for that, Gulf Coast. The second poem in a collection north of Boston talks about fixing the damage done to a property line by hunters using dogs to chase rabbits. Name this poem by Robert Frost that gave us the line, "My apple trees will never get across and eat the cones under his pines. I tell him," he only says, "good fences make good neighbors." Pretty famous saying there, those last few words. It's from The Mending Wall. The Mending Wall by Robert Frost. Next question for 10. In English grammar, the pairs both and, not but, neither nor. Chad, Gulf Coast?
Conjunction.
Yeah, those are all conjunctions. What part of speech? 10 points, Gulf Coast. Finish this quote from Shakespeare's play Romeo and Juliet. That which we call a blank. Christian, Palmetto.
Rose.
A rose. Other word would smell as sweet. Good job. 10 points. Palmetto Ridge. Next for 10. More than 13,000 of them have been issued by U.S. presidents since 1862. Chad, Gulf Coast.
Pardon.
No, that's a good try, but maybe a little more of the question. Palmetto Ridge, including the ones Barack Obama, including one of Barack Obama. Okay, Jack, Palmetto.
Executive action.
Judges? Can you be a little more specific? Think of something else, maybe? Nope, I needed to hear executive orders. Executive orders, not necessarily action. Nope. Okay, that's all right. No harm, no foul on that one. It lies opposite of Moorhead, Minnesota, and is at the head of navigation on the Red River. Name this city that is home to North Dakota State University and the largest city in that state. Anthony, Gulf Coast.
Bismarck.
No, not Bismarck. Palmetto Ridge. There's a really good movie about this. Fargo. Fargo. All right. Next question for 10. What American railroad and shipping tycoon has a Tennessee college named for him? Mark, Gulf Coast.
Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt is correct. 10 points for Gulf Coast. Tell which punctuation mark should generally be used to separate complete sentences? Mark, Gulf Coast.
Period.
Nope, sorry, incorrect. Palmetto, I'll finish it. To separate complete sentences without using a conjunction. Christian, Palmetto.
Semicolon.
You got it. Semicolon is right. That's 10 points, Palmetto Ridge. The Big Dipper rotates once a day around what celestial object that never appears to move in the sky? Lars, Palmetto.
North Star.
The North Star, Polaris, that's right. It's used as a navigational tool for centuries. 10 points, Palmetto Ridge. Its words talk about being out on the open prairie, watching the animals and enjoying the blue skies. Name this folk song. Anthony, Gulf Coast.
Home on the Range.
Home on the Range is right. If you sing it, I'll give you another 10. No, I can't do that. 10 points for Gulf Coast. All right, next for 10. The larger this value is for a given substance, the slower that light travels through that substance. Name this value, usually represented by a small n. Christian, give me a response.
Particle size.
That's a good try. Nope, sorry. Gulf Coast. Anybody want to try? Mark.
Density.
Nope, good try, both sides. Index of refraction is what I was looking at for the small n. It was fed 7 young men and 7 young women. Anthony, Gulf Coast.
Minotaur.
You got that very quickly. Good for you. It has the head of a bull and lived in the labyrinth until it was killed by Theseus. And you got 10 points for that, Gulf Coast. Minotaur. One adaptation of this classic novel into a play ends with its main character giving some gold pieces to a man who has only one leg and taking that man's parrot, Captain Flint. Name this adventure novel. Mark, Gulf Coast.
Treasure Island.
Treasure Island, Robert Louis Stevenson, 10 points under the wire there for Gulf Coast. Palmetto Ridge is still alive at 50 points. Gulf Coast pulled out at 125. However, guys, remember the next round's worth 20 points. Each question, couple right answers over there, and you're going to be surprised how quickly the score can close in. Let's see what happens. 20-point round is next when we come back.
Our schools are faced with increasing budgetary challenges. Now, there's an easy way for all of us to support education. By purchasing a License for Learning plate and renewing it each year, $20 are contributed to our schools to help our children. Support the License for Learning campaign. If you've got a car, get involved. For more information, call the Foundation for Lee County Public Schools, 239-337-0433. Get involved.
The A-Team Challenge, a major project of the Foundation for Lee County Public Schools, is provided in partnership with the School District of Lee County and Waterman Broadcasting.
Welcome back to the A-Team Challenge. We're in our 20-point round now. Gulf Coast High School versus Palmetto Ridge. The score is a little separate now, but anything can happen in the 20-point round. Let's see what goes. And I'm very curious to see if we get this answer right. So here's the question for 20 points. What classic TV series includes the characters Fred Mertz, Ethel, Ricky, and his son, Little Ricky? Kristen, don't let me down.
MASH.
Nope. Gulf Coast. Your mom and dad are out there going, oh my gosh. But you know what? That's okay, because this is an old show and it's I Love Lucy. All right, that's all right. No harm, no foul. See if you can do this one. Name the Broadway show based on a Disney animated movie that includes the song Can You Feel the Love? Anthony, Gulf Coast.
The Lion King.
The Lion King. It's got Scar and Simba in it. 20 points, Gulf Coast. All right, I've got a question for you on the screen. It's math. You can look and get started. A company is willing to be paid 2% less than its bill if it's paid within a week. How much will the company get paid for a job worth $6,000 if they're paid within that week? Mark, Gulf Coast.
$5,880.
$5,880 is correct. 20 points, Gulf Coast. Listen carefully. Give the correct spelling of the word principal, as in Anthony.
P-R-I-N-C-I-P-L-E.
You got it right. You got lucky, because there was a couple of ways that could have gone. Yes, principal as in the money. It's in the money. It's the principle of the thing was the rest of the clue, that sentence in there. All right, good. 20 points, Gulf Coast. All right, next question for 20. After the 1928 presidential election, President Herbert Hoover's promise to stop the maltreatment of blacks in flood refugee camps were not kept. As a result, Hoover was defeated in 1932 by what Democrat? Chad, Gulf Coast.
FDR.
FDR won his first of his 4 terms as president. 20 points, Gulf Coast. What West Virginia town of Harper's Ferry is located at the confluence of, the West Virginia town of Harper's Ferry is located at the confluence of what 2 rivers? Okay, Mark, give it a try.
Shenandoah and Monongahela.
That's a really good guess. Not quite there. Palmetto Ridge. Okay, Mark, that was really good. They got the Shenandoah, the Potomac was the other one, going down toward D.C. Next question for 20 points. What tobacco magnate donated millions of dollars to the North Carolina college now named for his father and named indirectly for him? Christian?
Marlboro.
No, sorry, incorrect. Gulf Coast, Mark?
Davidson.
No, not Davidson. I should have said magnate. I hope you realized that's what I was saying. Duke. James Buchanan Duke. Next question for 20. No harm, no foul, though. Scientist Stephen Hawking has postulated that black holes give off what form of energy? Lars, Palmetto.
Hawking radiation.
That's right. Radiation is good for 20 points, Palmetto Ridge. In history, this time period when Belgium, France, Portugal, and other European countries controlled most of Africa, Mark, Gulf Coast.
Imperialism.
Yes, imperialism, the age of what? That ends in ISM. Imperialism is 20 points, Gulf Coast. What often banned novel by Robert Cormier tells about Jerry and Archie at the Trinity School? The Chocolate War. The Chocolate War. Next question for 20. She won her 20th career Grand Slam title. Chad, Gulf Coast.
Serena Williams.
Yep, at the 2015 French Open, named the tennis star Serena Williams. 20 points, Gulf Coast. In biblical times, it was said to be the place where Abraham built the structure now called the Kaaba. Name this city in present-day Saudi Arabia. Anthony, Gulf Coast.
Mecca.
Mecca, that contains the Zamzam well. Correct, 20 points, Gulf Coast. Next for 20. Name the type of government no longer used in some European countries. Chad, Gulf Coast.
Monarchy.
Monarchy, in which the country is governed by a king or a queen. 20 points, Gulf Coast. Its 100th anniversary was celebrated in 2015 by speeches in the nearby town of Estes Park and a symposium at the Continental Divide Research Learning Center. Identify this Colorado National Park, named for the famous range of peaks you'll find in it. Mark, Gulf Coast.
Rocky Mountain.
Rocky Mountain National Park. You got it. 20 points, Gulf Coast. A yellow face, a crooked man, a Sussex vampire, a speckled band, a set of 5 orange pips, a red-headed league, and a blue carbuncle are all title objects in short mystery adventures that feature what great British detective? Christian, Palmetto Ridge.
Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes is correct. 20 points, Palmetto Ridge. Gets you in there right under the wire. And there's the score at the end of the 20-point round. Students, when we come back, we're going to ask you to make a wager based on how you think you're going to do in the final exam category of social studies. Social studies is next. When we come back, we'll introduce you to the alternates on both teams and find out who's moving on to round 2. Don't go away.
This one's packed with hope. This one's packed with big dreams. This one's packed with inspiration. It may look like a simple brown bag lunch, but it's really a big way to make a difference. That's because when you become a Take Stock in Children mentor, it takes just 1 hour a week to make an impact that can't be measured. Change a life over lunch. Become a mentor today.
Take Stock in Children is a major program of the Foundation for Lee County Public Schools. For more information on how you can become a mentor, call 239-337-0433 or email info@leeschoolfoundation.org. The A-Team Challenge, a major project of the Foundation for Lee County Public Schools, is provided in partnership with the School District of Lee County and Waterman Broadcasting.
2 pennies by themselves don't add up to much. But when you're a Suncoast member, every time you swipe your Suncoast credit or debit card, Suncoast donates 2 cents to help children's programs where you live. That means Suncoast members help make their community a better place every day just by buying things with their cards. And when we add all those pennies from all those Suncoast card swipes together, we can give millions of dollars to our children's future. Visit suncoastcreditunion.com and learn how much Suncoast could save you.
Welcome back to the conclusion of game number 8 in the A-Team Challenge 2016. Welcome back again, Gulf Coast High School on my right, Palmetto Ridge High School on my left, and a couple of new faces on the Palmetto Ridge side. Let me introduce you to the alternates here. In the back in the middle is Ray. Ray Gonzalez is a sophomore. He wants to go to MIT after high school and study computer engineering. Right next to me here is David. David Gomez, also a sophomore, wants to head to the University of Florida and study genetics. So again, the Gulf Coast side is represented by the 4 guys that are right there. No alternates here for you today. All right, so here's the question. Students have been working on this in the subject of social studies. The year is 1890. We want you to answer and identify these events. This church stopped its official sanction of plural marriage. This Dutch painter shot himself. His brother Theo died several months later. And this Tchaikovsky ballet. This is the hardest one, I believe, with the characters Caravus and the Lilac Fairy, premiered in St. Petersburg. Here are the answers I need to see on the sheets. Of course, the Mormon Church, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, A. The second one is Vincent van Gogh. And the third one is The Sleeping Beauty. All right, we'll start with Palmetto Ridge, coming in at 90 points. Palmetto, you got 1 and 2 just right. You got the Mormons, you got the Vincent van Gogh, but you put down Swan Lake. So sorry, that was a really good try. You wagered 90 points, as you should have, and that brings you down to 0. Good game to Palmetto Ridge. Also in the Gulf Coast side, you folks did well, the first 2, Mormon, Van Gogh, but you put down the Nutcracker. And as you can see, the answer is Sleeping Beauty, so that's a no. However, score was pretty wide there, so Gulf Coast wagered 115, bringing them to 190. Let's give them a hand. Gulf Coast High School moves on to round 2. Good job, guys. We're all about good sportsmanship at the A-Team, so let's get up, shake each other's hands, and say congratulations. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time for the A-Team Challenge.